The Raptors defy the odds and get a huge win over the Philadelphia 76ers, 103-88. I'm Randy Urban, and welcome to Raptors Night Cap. Tonight, I'm joined by Jack Armstrong, Amy Audibert, and Paul Jones. Amy, huge win. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat the entire game. How were your nerves during this one?
I would say in the third quarter when Pascal just took over this game, you know, at moments, you're feeling a little bit better. And then I'll tell you, halfway through this fourth quarter, when this play started clearing out, it was just, okay, let's go. Let's go back to Toronto right now. This was so gritty tonight. This was so gritty. When you look at Philadelphia, they didn't get too much easy at all. I don't think they had many easy buckets. I mean, they had to work for everything. They felt bodies. It was a fun game, Randy. It was fun.
Yeah. Jonesy, your initial reaction to all of that today? I mean, the chances of, just when you think about sports and the chances of Toronto coming in and playing like that and winning the way they did, the way this series has gone, was not high.
No, well, listen, the Brooklyn Nets, the team that everybody thought would be headed for the NBA Finals when they finally got everybody, they bowed out very nicely tonight, and 0-3, sometimes people let go of the rope. Mm-hmm. But we've seen this Toronto Raptors team all year. The tougher it gets, the more, let's say, resilient, I would say hard-headed, or I could put two other words in there, they become. Because they're not giving in. They're not giving in. And like I'm looking at stats. I'm in group chats here with people that are, 0-3, they're done. I'm like, hey, we said it before, and we've said it again. We know the character of this team, the culture around this place. They're going to be a tough out. They may not win this series, but you're not telling me right now that Philadelphia is not feeling a little pressure right now. Mm-hmm. You know, it's 0-143 when a team's down 3-0. Well, 0-144 thanks to Brooklyn tonight. Mm-hmm. But as Nick said, 3-1's been done. It's been done 13 times. And with all due respect to Doc Rivers, he's given up 3 of those 13. So, you know, they're feeling it. And Amy talked about it. You get off to a quick start in Philly, those fans, they'll turn on you. And all of a sudden, that invisible sixth man with the boos raining down, they become in favor of Toronto right now. So I'm not surprised at any of this tonight, Randy. I'm not surprised in the least.
Jonesy, just real quick, what were the number of teams that have forced a game 7 out of those 145?
Three teams out of 144, and the Nets obviously tonight won't force a game 7 or after losing. So 3 teams, all 3 game 7s were lost
on the road.
Yeah. And again, I'll say it, at some point, the streak gets broken.
Yeah. Jack, speaking of pressure, Pascal Siakam again put the team on his back. The mental fortitude he had tonight and last game has just been incredible.
Well, what does athletics do? It not only builds character, reveals it, right? And he struggled in the second half and overtime in game 3. And then he showed his resiliency, and he's been outstanding the last 2 games. But I think it's symptomatic of his entire career, what he stood for the entire time and what he's accomplished from the time he first started playing basketball. So, he's a guy that just played with great toughness. He was the best player in the building tonight. He hunted down the matchups. He was very selective of when he went, but he was aggressive. He knew where his teammates were. He made some great reads. And he just played at another level in terms of intensity and bounce. He didn't get into any foul trouble. The defense was just really good, and he was a part of that. And look, Randy, I mean, they started this game turning Philadelphia over. They got their running game established. They were aggressive getting on the glass. And I don't know about you guys, but it seemed like the entire night the game was somewhere between 9 and 13 points. They had that 3 to 4 to 5 possession cushion. And when you're on the road and, you know, kind of to Amy and Jonesy's point about, you know, the crowd here and all that, when you're able to keep the crowd out of it and also keep the crowd tuned in a negative fashion towards the home team, particularly a guy like Tybal, who was just had a rough night. it really helps you. And to me, that was all part of the leadership of Pascal.
You know, Jack and Amy, we looked at the game. I mean, Philadelphia did they? I don't even remember what the final was, but they didn't crack 100. I don't even know if they cracked 90.
They had 88,
and
88 points.
And 88. And when you have, Jack, as you said, a 9, 10, 11-point lead in a low-scoring game, that leads like 14 or 15.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because it's a grinding type of game. The Raptors got the lead by being aggressive, and it's tough to play with a big lead because you become complacent. You take a bad shot. It's like, hey, we're still up 11. There was none of that garbage tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It was let's keep going at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amy, what impressed you about the defense from the Raptors tonight?
I think it was just multiple efforts and bodies. I thought they were really physical. Like, they banged up. I think they've adjusted to, I don't want to bring this, they've adjusted to the whistle, and that, like, they went really hard, and then they almost got on their heels a bit. And I thought they were just super solid from start to finish tonight. And swarming, they took a couple charges. It's tough because you can take a charge on a big guy driving, but it's hard to rotate and take a charge on a maxi who's so fast and puts you completely out of rotation. But yeah, I thought they swarmed, and they were just there with their feet. Even when Kem tried to take that charge on the perimeter, that was close. Like, he almost got to his position on the perimeter against Embiid. And again, it goes just to the toughness. And the one thing I will add too, with you say Pascal's his mental toughness, I thought Precious Achiuwa. Because after he missed those free throws, I talked to Thad, and Thad said, he didn't sleep that night. And it would have been easy to crumble in that situation, right? Or just kind of pack it in and get better in the offseason. And when you look at the way he's responded from that, he had a great game, but then missed those free throws, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, the last 2 games, but today, I mean, I hope he's sitting in a cold tub somewhere. Because he has given it and he has taken it. I hope they put an ice bath on that plane, because he is, and when they need him to do that every time.
I got to tell you, Amy, he went at Joel Embiid. Like, the Raptors offensively, they sniffed out the matchups. You got Harden, you got Niang, you got Embiid. They were clearing side, and everybody was taking their turn. It's like, hey, big fella, you might be getting 25 at this end, but we're going to try and get that 25 back at this end. And Pascal went at him. Precious put him in jail twice, like driving past him, gave him the up and under move. And I got to tell you, part of getting to Embiid is getting to him in his head. Like, when it got tough, I didn't see him inside as much as I did before. He was hanging out around the 3-point line, taking jumpers, dribble handoffs. Like, that's when, if you're the man, you got to say, okay, enough of this. And I just think the Raptors and the way they come at you, Jack, Amy, you've played against people like that. When they are on you and on you and on you, you're either going to crack or you're going to hit back. And right now, Philadelphia is not hit. I'm not saying they've cracked, but they're not hitting back with the same ferocity and veracity that we've seen.
Jack, why do you think they have that confidence to go after Embiid on the defensive end? Because it's not like Embiid is a slouch defensively. This guy erases shots. He knows how to, defend the paint, defend the rim, but yet it's working, right?
Well, they beat him 3 out of 4 times during the season, so they should have confidence there. And quite frankly, the Raptors should be up 3-2 in this series right now. I mean, they've outplayed them the last 3 games.
But specifically against Embiid, like going at him defensively.
I'm getting there.
Sorry.
I'm getting there.
My bad, Jack.
It comes from the fact that you've played so many games against a guy now. You've kind of figured out his habits and what he likes to do and how he likes to play. So when you do mid-screen and roll and you turn the corner and when he lays back, and the same thing, things that he'll take the bait on in terms of shot fakes. He'll come out on shooters and take the bait. Precious Achiuwa did it to him tonight on the left baseline. He came out, pump fake, went right by him. So they've got his defensive game figured out. Now, it's easy to say it. It's hard to do it. But they know that there are times that he kind of takes a break and takes a breather on defense. So you can catch him napping a few possessions too, where he'll give you something that you don't want, that you want. But the bottom line to me is the fact that you've played 9 games against this guy now. This familiarity. There's no secrets here now, and they're going to go at him because they know they can go at him.
And the other thing I would just add to that, can I just add to that too?
Yeah.
These games are, we're getting now into game 6 and 7. If you run, if you bang and you're physical, you don't feel fresher. I imagine you're not feeling fresher as it's going along here. And so if you're Toronto, you've got to be, I'm not going to say excited about playing him, but just understanding that you certainly have some advantages now, right? The physical, but then also the bodies to get up and down, that rotation of those bigs coming in, forcing him to come out and defend a 3, and then going at the first step on him because, the mobile Raptors have some mobile bigs. And they have to, we're going into game 6 here, and his hand is not well right now.
Randall, as both Jack and Amy have pointed out, you put him in certain actions and you're going to get what you want. I talked about how guys went at him. He defends the paint, but he's great as a secondary defender. Somebody's got a guy engaged. He comes over, blocks the shot. He's off his man. When you put him in the torture chamber himself and he's got to defend a guy or play the screen and roll, there ain't no coming from off the ball. That's you. And as Jack always talks about, your habits is your individual defense good? Are you going to sit in your chair and guard somebody? And then when it doesn't happen at your end and you go down the other end and that guy's right in your jersey again and he's picking you up, are you going to try to do that to him, or are you going to wilt? And as Jack said, 9 games, as Amy said, they're going at him. It's a long series. Raptors down 3-0. Hey man, it's the first to 4.
Yeah.
Last button's always the toughest one, buddy.
And Jack, what was interesting on one play, they actually left Harden to double Embiid, which is something that is so crazy to stay, but Harden's just not giving them, what everybody thought he would be giving them at this point in the season.
If I'm Daryl Morey right now, I'm not having a lot of sleep. Everyone's focused on Doc Rivers. I would say there's even more pressure on Daryl Morey. This guy's making $40 million and he's a ball distributor and he's constantly giving the ball up in the last 5 seconds of the shot clock, just getting rid of it. Like it's a game, like it's a game literally in November, December, that really doesn't matter. His job's to be a finisher. If it's not Embiid, what is he doing giving the ball up to Danny Green or Georges Yang or Maxey or someone like that at the end of the shot clock? That's not – we're paying you $40 million, and now we've re-upped with – we're going to re-up with you. Are you kidding me? But that's what I'm seeing right now. And it's almost like when I watch a running back and, an open hole is like a millisecond. You either hit the hole and get through and get a 7-yard gain, or maybe you get 2 yards, 3 yards. And what I'm seeing from Harden, he's never been the fastest guy, but when that little opening was there for him to get, he would get through it and get to daylight, and you had to foul him. Now he's fully engaged with the defender and he has a hard time getting his game off, and he's flopping and he's just trying to sell calls and get to the line. And he's running away from big moments. Now, again, he could come out and play the game of his life on Thursday night. But what I'm seeing, if you're Philadelphia right now, you've got to be concerned with, people are talking all about the Nets and the Ben Simmons scenario. When you're a team that's top heavy, and you're paying the big guys a ton of money, they better be really good. And I think the question for Philly right now is if Harden doesn't get back to being who he is, your season is hanging on Yang and Green and Harris and Maxey. It's different when things are going good. When things start turning, that's a lot more pressure than maybe should be put on those guys.
That's well said. Amy, who do you think was critical for the win outside of some of the guys that we've already talked about?
Wow.
Because for me, Scottie, again, like they're just better.
Scottie was terrific. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everybody who touched the floor in that rotation had important roles. Like, I mean, I keep going to Kem because I keep thinking of, especially he got the whistle blown on him a lot, but my gosh, like the way he comes out and he's just super physical and he tries to wall up on Embiid. I think that's so important in terms of just setting the tone and wearing him early. Scottie, I mean, it's tremendous on both sides of the ball too, right? I mean, he's just got to be on the court. The series is. I also think the series is different if he didn't turn that ankle in game one. So,
Randall, to Amy's point about Scottie being on the court, how many times did he score down low? In this era of shooting the three and zipping it around on the perimeter and firing it from long distance, he's got the great old man game. He does. He scores down low. Look, offensive rebounds. There was one tonight that they gave it to him. He missed it. He went back up on his pogo stick, boom, back down for a dunk. The old adage about shooting. People love the three in this era. Yeah, three's better than two, but I'm going to tell you, two is better than nothing. And they don't have those empty trips. He walks Harden into the lane. He hit a couple of floaters that were like 10-foot floaters off glass. Like that's old school stuff that I think kind of gets lost in this new era of play with all the flash and dash. Somebody has taught this kid how to play, and he's just so sound. The look away alley-oop lob on the break on a 4-on-2, like that's Magic Johnson stuff.
Yeah.
And OG too. Like I think OG has been playing so good that he's really starting to pull a lot of defense and draw a lot of attention. You still had some really nice moments, but sometimes you look at a box score. I think he had 16 tonight, but you don't see that stuff. But he is putting a lot of pressure on Philly's defense because of how good he is. And not just one game. He has consistently been good in this series. And even tonight, he had his moments. I think they're paying a lot more attention to him on when he's on offense. And that's opening some stuff up maybe for some other guys too.
And, it's interesting that you say that because I kept thinking at multiple times during the game that this would be a great time to have Fred, or this would be a great time to have Fred just to settle certain things down. And when I looked at some of the but they really just made it work, Jack. And it's like, it's really remarkable when you look at this team from where it was at the beginning of the season and how they were using Precious and all these guys to where it is now.
No, and that's all part of the developmental cycle. And it's also the fact that they've had guys out of the lineup. They've had to become adaptable to a lot of different scenarios. But the pillars, the habits, the foundational elements of what you stand for never change, no matter who's out or who's in. And to me, they won the game tonight because you watched and they put on a defensive clinic. You watched and they were the better team on the offensive end in terms of how they played. And you watched and they were the team that was in their stance. The sneakers squeaked. They cut hard. They flashed hard. They talked hard. Their bench was more enthusiastic. Their habits were better. And Philadelphia hangs its hat on its talent. Okay? They hang their hat on their talent. And when you now meet your match in terms of a team that's like really well coached and they do all the little stuff and they don't shoot themselves in the foot, and now you think you're just going to show up and out-talent people, guess what? People start backdooring you and carving you up late in the shot clock, and you miss rotations, and you get sloppy with the ball, and you're not in the precise, disciplined, right on the money spots that you're supposed to be, and you start making mistakes and you self-destruct. So, again, I'll say this again. Toronto, in the last 3 games, has been the better team. They honestly should be up 3-2 in this series right now. It's just unfortunate they couldn't close the deal in game 3, but they got to have a ton of confidence right now. And if you're Philadelphia, the best thing for them right now is probably having another day off. On the other hand, they're going to get pounded, not only here in Philadelphia, but they're going to get pounded in the U.S. By the national media. And they should be very grateful that the Nets got swept tonight, because it at least take a little bit give them a little cover tonight and tomorrow.
Randall, Jack has, to Jack's point, the manifestation of the Raptors' philosophy, positionless basketball with 5, 6 guys, 7 guys tonight that are basically all the same size was on full display. And again, to what Jack said, adaptable because of the injuries. And listening to Jack talk, I was just waiting for the Latin from my late father. And the phrase, Randall, I don't know what the Latin is, but the English is hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. Mm-hmm. And you think about the back cuts, Thad Young finding Boucher, and these are not accidents. That is hard work. Those are habits. Those are things that they do all the time. And Philly might be more talented, but when you're not working as hard as that dude who's maybe as talented or just a little behind you, he's going to beat you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we've seen in the last couple of games.
Jack, you want to
I know we got to go. I just want one quick thing before I go. I had a nice chat tonight with John Calipari, coach of Kentucky. I've known John. We used to work 5-star camp together over 30 years ago. We were joking about a lot of stuff. Well, when we were talking about just the Raptors, and look, it's not like Kentucky and St. Peter's. But what I'm pointing out, though, is kind of the same stuff. And that is that when a team plays as a team on both ends, you give yourself a chance no matter who you play. And honestly, forget about the Sixers. The Raptors could beat any team in the NBA if they played the way they're playing right now, whether it be Phoenix or Golden State or Boston or any of those teams. And we've seen it throughout the season. When they play their game, they can play with and beat any team in the league. And here we are with 2 games left. Let's see what happens.
Amy, I'll let you end the show. One thing, first of all, I've never seen a team, the fans leave a playoff game with 5 minutes to go down 12. That was awesome.
It's Philly.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Philly, man. It's Philly.
I was like, what did I miss here? Like, this is this is a winnable game. They have Maxey Harris. They've got Harden. Like, what?
The advent of the 3-point shot,
Wow. I was stunned. I really was.
But I'll let you get out on this one, Amy, because you said this to Precious on your post-game interview. Message for the fans. What's your message for the fans at home as the Raptors head back to Toronto?
I'm going to take Jonesy's and Pat's. I'm going to speak for all 3 of us. Get there early. Get your seats early. I mean, the home court advantage matters. This is a must win. This has to get pushed. And they do. I hope fans realize they do impact games much. When shooting is contagious, when you hit a couple and your roof's blowing off, you hit a couple more. So, I mean, like Jack and Jonesy say, get there early. Jurassic Park is going to be just popping. And I'm so excited. I'm pumped.
Yeah. Great show,
Randall,
guys. Yeah.
MLSE is looking for the people that built Scotiabank Arena to put a little more caulking, a few more nails on the roof. Because that place is going to come unglued. It's going to come unglued on Thursday nights.
Well, this is it's been a great season and a great run here in this series against Philadelphia. I appreciate you guys doing the show. Looking forward to Game 6. Game six, in English, goes on Thursday night back at Scotiabank Arena. Tip-off goes. Does anybody know? Is it out yet? Do we know?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. That's why we pay you guys the big bucks. I appreciate you doing this. See you next time.